So I've got a couple of these old things that I found in the glass house. Seeds inside. I presume if they've been put aside, there's something special. Let's see what we get out of them. Doesn't look very pretty, but it seems to have preserved them beautifully. I feel like Alice in Avocado World. Check out the underside of my reed avocado tree, it's laden. We had a couple of early ripe ones, and these things are the quintessential avocado. They are delicious, and we've got so many of them. This is just one little piece under the umbrella of the tree. This is a grapefruit tree, but over here in the corner, this is an orange tree. And I picked some of the fruit and it was fucking delicious. But this tree was getting completely smothered by the grapefruit, and this creeping rose bush, as well as some big creeping weed vine from the paddock next door. So I wanted to bring this tree back to life because the fruit are amazing on it. And I started clearing away, realised that most of it was being grown over the top from behind the shed here, this little store shed that we've got. So Mum gave me some sage advice that before I start doing anything I want to pick where my compost heap goes. She was right. Well, I found this little spot, started filling it up with the compost from behind the shed, which, as you can see now, I've opened up a pathway there to get to the orange tree. I've got a fresh coat of dags here on all my composts and some of the gardens. The idea is that it creates a nice warm layer, traps moisture, and breaks down eventually because it's natural fibre, and creates a little space for microorganisms to grow, and as well as keeping air in the compost. I put it around the base of the broad beans, as you'll see here, but although it was good at suppressing the weeds, it was pretty hard to dig through once I wanted to replace those broad beans, so I won't do that again. This is where I wanted my food and veggie garden scrap compost, which is right behind the garden shed. And these are the patches of fence that I need to get rid of, and old compost to move. But shit goes wrong sometimes, and we stuck that back corner right through the one pipe that feeds our toilet.
Through here, and it's crunched just the side of it. It looked like a bullseye initially, but it's right between this stump.
Bloody tree stump.
The tree stump's a fucker here. But I can get a fitting onto that. There's enough room there to get a fitting onto that one. That's where I should go. Heaps of room there, so I can I guess probably the best thing to do would be to get an elbow.
Bypass this area entirely.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but where do you go? You know, I think it's got to come up and across and back down, find the closest bit of pipe. Then we just need to hook that onto the tractor somehow. So, because the waratah punctured the pipe right on this tree stump, there's no digging around under there to successfully remove enough tree stump to be able to reconnect the pipe. So I've located the pipe on the other side of the tree stump, which is about there, and yeah, basically the pipe grows through the tree stump, meaning the tree stump's got to come out. So
Yay!
hopefully the tractor can pull it out. But what I do suspect is going to happen is that this thing's going to just disintegrate because it's so bloody rotten. But if we can get a chunk of it out, that'll help the rest of the mission. Might have to do a bit of bypassing. As long as we can get it, you know, at least sort of 300-400 mil below ground level, should be sweet. Alright, should we fire up the tractor and see what we can do?
Let's do it. Not quite. Yep. Let's hope I know what wrong looks like. Time to move the compost from here over to here. Planting up the first part of this garden bed. In the front row I've got my yams. In the back we've got Queensland blue long keeper onion pumpkins, and then some of these mysterious pumpkins that old mate left behind when he sold us the farm, so gotta be good, right? So pumpkins, and then in that one I'm going to put squash and pumpkins that are good for keeping the seeds. So the yams are coming along nicely. They're pretty cool. They look like clover plants. And a few, I'm going to pull out the potatoes, but leave the pumpkins. So, funny story, when I first got here I saw a bunch of these sprouting up out of the ground, but I just thought they were regular onions. I very carefully separated them and planted rows and rows of these things all over the garden, and it turns out they were elephant chives, and they have thrived, and my garden is it's still to this day pumping out the chives. We eat them on everything, and I can't give them away fast enough. So today's mission is trying to preserve pumpkins. Apparently you can give them a vinegar bath. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. I think I might have filled it up enough there. Just got to go get my vinegar. Some of them are pretty small, but we're going to see how we go. Supposed to do a cup per sink full, but this bottle's about 3 cups full, and it's a large sink, so I'm going to put half the bottle in. Should do the trick, hopefully. Fill it up so everything's covered. Leave to sit for 20 minutes. That's the instruction off the internet. Smells good. Okay, I've zhuzhed those around as much as I'm gonna, so I'll let them sit, then I'll turn the tops over on the top layer. We'll go from there. Alright, so they've been soaking for 20 minutes. I've moved them around, as you can probably tell. Now it's time to line them up in the sun to dry out, and then they're good for the store cupboard. One of my first harvests is broad beans and carrots from the garden. Yeah, up here orange carrots are so last season. All about the white carrots this year. I've just planted my first Tamarillo tree. Sparing you the details of today's little drama, but of the 5 new lambs we had born last night, 2 didn't make it out of their placental sac. So we've planted a raspberry on top of them. That's Mum crying down there in the background. But the thorns seem sort of somewhat appropriate for the pain they're feeling. Raspberry in. Now it's time to build the crucial fence. I'm going to divide the paddock. Chickens on one side, turn this into garden. It's a water tank. And it's going to be the berry area, the berry cage. With raspberry as the starter. It's taken a lot of deliberation, but we've decided that this camellia tree has to go, because it blocks the vision to the water tank, importantly the indicator to tell us whether it's full or not, which would be really nice to be able to see from the house, which is just over there. There's my raspberry horseshoe. Some of the plant's been nibbled by bunnies, I think, but they'll spring back as raspberries do, and eventually we'll take this corner of fencing out, but it's not going to happen in a hurry. And I'm also in need of garden space that I haven't created, so I'm going to put our tomatoes in this corner, which will be easy to string up. Progress is slow, but getting there. One row, 2 rows, and that'll be a 3rd row. And a few more on this side of the fence. Unboxing. Sheep on the work site. At least they're admiring my work.
Let's just try to eat it.
We've made good progress on the potato garden. Just put the leaves down on top of the sticks and this one. And there's dirt in here and a row of spuds, agria potatoes. Good all-rounders, good for roasting, good for mashing. And we'll put another little garden in the middle here for the beautiful purple potatoes. The potato patch is thriving, but it turns out, because I've been so busy with other things and not mounding them properly, they're really just, they're huge, but they're all poking through and starting to go green and starting to sprout. So I'm going to do a round and take the top ones off and see how bad the problem is, or if we've just got a cupboard full of spuds now. So I'm not quite a quarter of the way through and I've filled up my bucket. This is just tidying up. This isn't even doing a proper harvest, but these things are huge. What a shame I don't have a proper set of scales. And probably all that again in the ground, I'm hoping. I've just cleaned up my spuds. Look at the haul. That's what you get from a quick clean up. And you can see all the green bits, which of course we'll chop off so we don't get a bellyache. But these are all the potatoes that were poking themselves a little bit out of the dirt. So I just tidied them up, left all the plants in there. These are the seed potatoes, ones that are a bit shit or really small. Yum. Just pulling out the spuds to make way for the second planting. That's what we've got tidied up so far. I've just come to check on the second round of potatoes and broad beans, and we've got a little broad bean popping up. None of the spuds are up yet, but the wild cats seem to think it makes a good bathroom for them. Scratching up my dirt piles and shit. I'll show you. Ugh! Fucking cats. Well, they're delicious. A nice medium crust on the outside, pretty dense loaf, tasty.
Free bread.
Really well with butter and honey.
You look so hard, but you can't see enough. Just find it and take it, don't let regret it. Make me your only one. You choose it, don't lose it, don't let confuse it. Only then you'll be gone.
So this isn't unusual for us. Every other day we pull out a bag full of citrus. We've got 3 producing grapefruit trees. One of them's having a year off, a lemon and an orange. So we can't give it away fast enough, we can't consume it fast enough, so we juice it. We have tons of fresh juice every day, and the grapefruits that ripen on the tree are so much sweeter. When you're not eating the pith, you don't get that bitter taste in your mouth, and it's that much better than orange juice, I can tell you.
Feel like
new chives are growing beautifully. Check out this crazy one, already going to seed. Purple cabbages look good. Lettuces look good. Some of the beetroots look okay. Some are gone to seed. Broad beans, ready to go. Yum. Love the smell of broad bean plants. And broad beans not for everyone. I like them raw when they're kind of young or steamed with butter. Can't go wrong. Scarlet runner bean. Another scarlet runner bean. Cabbage. Now that's a cabbage. Perfect. Beautiful. Heavy. Delicious. I think it's probably the most beautiful cabbage I've ever seen. Look at the colours on this thing.
Throw it aside. Can't wait to start. You should call the police. Now I even can breathe. You love me and hate me, true me and false me, make me your shining star. Giving, receiving, changing.
It's so delicious. It's sweet. Crunchy. Juicy. So good. Squeaky. Yum.
Giving, receiving, changing, believing, only then we could start. Feel like that. Feel like,
All my beans, all my beans.
feel like that. Feel like that. Lay your arms around me and stay with me. Feel like that. Lay your arms and stay with
Just did a quick little
me.
tidy up in the garden. Butter knife for size comparison. Didn't even touch the runner beans. They'll come in tomorrow and they'll probably be 10 times as much as all of this volume. But should be able to give some of it away to the neighbours.
Stay with me, baby. Feel like that. Lay your arms around me and stay with me. Feel like that. Lay your arms and stay with me, baby.
Laying down on my job.
Stay, stay, stay. Stay, stay, stay.
At home we try and be as efficient as we can with our trash and our waste so that we don't have to take much anywhere. One of the things we do is we freeze our meat scraps and our bones and just leftovers from dinner, and we dig a hole and we bury them under new trees or under trees that we want to give a boost to. I've just finished putting out a fadge. That's a fadge full of wool on these two compost heaps just in time for Halloween, sort of. my two garden monsters. I think that one's as done as it's going to be, this garden pile. And this one I'll build up a few more layers. This is the start of the squash and pumpkin patch. Buddha's just mowed all around it, and you can see I've got a whole bunch of little seedlings in here, just straight into the ground. That one needs a bit of water, but they're all doing pretty well.
Stay, 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 stay,
Pumpkin gone wild. So I'm just weeding over in the garden here, and I pull this out. Go figure, because the liquid doesn't look quite the right colour. Today I've just been weeding, and I'm moving some of the netting off this tunnel house. I'm going to move onto this one. I've got a whole lot of wood chips, and this is just the beginning. I'm going to put them through the garden. Had a whole lot of garlic sprout as well. Completely the wrong time of year for it, but not complaining. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it's starting to look a little bit like a real garden now. That's amazing. Incredible. What a beauty. Can't wait for all the heads to open up. Everything else is looking good too. Some broccoli's gone to seed. There's the original big head. Lift it up. Still smells good too. As you can see, I'm still a long way off growing enough for us to survive on, but I've had a hell of a good time. The gardens have expanded and I've learned heaps.